welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Brad, and this is Izzet Delver. Actual Delver of Secrets here in this deck. Lately, the list has moved to cori-steel Cutter. It gets a little bit bigger. It focuses on going wide in the mid-game with cori-steel Cutter more than it focuses on getting a 3-power flyer into play and dealing 20 damage. This build still respects how good cori-steel Cutter is. There are 2 copies. However, the 4 Delvers in here complement the 4 Dragon's Rage Channelers and the 6 Lightning Bolts. We've got 2 Chain Lightning with 4 actual Bolt. We're trying to deal 20. We're trying to get it done. I really like that. I don't know if it's better than cori-steel Cutter, but I like the commitment to believing in something here. One of the things that Delver of Secrets has to balance right now is that Mishra's Bauble is very good with Dragon's Rage Channeler. Mishra's Bauble is also good with cori-steel Cutter. Cori-steel Cutter is an artifact. Mishra's Bauble is an artifact. Dragon's Rage Channeler is a creature. This is a package of a bunch of cards that do not flip Delver of Secrets, and Fugitive Wizard is not a legacy card. We have to believe that this will flip a reasonable percent of the time for it to be worth it. That's why there's only 2 Cutters. That's why there's 3 Baubles. There's even a Lorien revealed in here over a land. That was something that when Brad sent me the original list, I thought 20 lands was too much. How can we split the difference? Lorien reveals the answer to that. Even a well-rounded tool like Brazen Borrower, in ancient times, this might have been something like a Rushing River or an Echoing Truth, Vapor Snag. These are all cards that have been seen play in Delver decks in the past. There are 25 things in the deck that flip Delver, which is a pretty good hit rate, worse than it used to be back in the early days where this was the whole plan, but it doesn't have to be anymore. Brainstorm, Ponder, and Mishra's Bauble can all help set those things up. Surveilling can help set that up. We've got some help here. The mana base, I want to point out, there's a Steam Vents instead of a Thundering Falls. Brad wanted with this more aggressive slant featuring the Delver and the extra bolts. Didn't want a tap land to slow him down at all. There's also 2 basic islands in the deck, which I'm not convinced that we need, but there is a Blood Moon in the sideboard. And this build actually has a threat that's blue. Between Delver and Murktide, if you Blood Moon, you could cast all your spells, because the other half of your spells are red anyway. But the Steam Vents is basically just the 5th Volcanic Island. We've seen this in Delver builds in the past. I think the Expressive Iteration era, this is how the decks were built. We just never want to have to choose between Dragon's Rage Channeler and Daze. So here we go, 5 Volcanic Islands in the deck. And the last thing worth noting is Untimely Malfunction. This is just a card that Brad has put in the deck. It does some stuff: destroy target artifact, redirect target spell or ability, and 1 or 2 target creatures can't block this turn. You can imagine all of those spots being good. This thing flips Delver. Is it better than just another Brazen Borrower in the list? Hard to say, but it's here and we're going to play with it. It seems perfectly fine, enough utility that we'll find cool spots for it. And there it is. Izzet Delver. Let's try it out. I'm on the draw in round 1. Brazen Borrower is my only threat. This is a lot of Lightning Bolts though. I'm going to try this. With the 4 Delvers in the deck, we have more 1-drops that would be exciting to draw. Opponents on a Multi 6. A Tundra. Lightning Bolt, not usually good against Tundra. Look at that. Trust in the 1-drops. However, I am just going to wasteland my opponent. If they're going to be out there on the Multi 6, hanging out, dual lands where I can waste them, I'm going to take them. Okay, Brainstorm in response. And Otawara as land for turn, Ponder. Alright. They're unlikely to be mana screwed, but Tundra Otawara is interesting. What deck plays those 2 cards together? It might be a blue-white X, or Jeskai kind of control deck that just has an Otawara in there. Or it could indicate a 2-color Omni Show might be a thing. I don't know. I'm just going to cast Dragon's Rage Channeler and wait for information to develop. It's not like I have a different play here anyway. Chain Lightning being a sorcery all on its own, really good for Delirium. It might be one of the Dreadnought decks, the like Torpor Orb Dreadnought decks that Harain has been working on. I don't think those decks play Otawara, but of course I could be mistaken. It's happened before. I had the option to upkeep Lightning Bolt to select a little bit. I didn't take it. I'm just going to try to burn their face off. Cori-steel Cutter. That's not going to be part of the game, and it does give me Delirium, so I'm in. Bolt you. Force of Will is going to be part of the game if I get another turn. All right, and just like that, opponent is at 9. It took half their life total in one turn. Let's see if I get another turn. Clarion Conqueror. I got lightning bolts for this jerk. Ponder. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what's happening. We're in brew space. Some big mana, blue-white deck of some variety here. I am going to draw for turn, bank that Force of Will, bolt the Clarion Conqueror, and then I have Untimely Malfunction and Force of Will to protect what I'm doing. Malfunction can counter a counterspell. You redirect the counterspell to Untimely Malfunction, and then it has no target. I'm going to fetch before I cast Lightning Bolt because I want my Surveil to matter. Bin that Tarn. Okay, opponent is at 4 with Ancient Tomb as half of their mana. Alright, Torpor Orb confirmed. This is the Dreadnought deck. I do not care about this. I have 2 answers to it in my hand, and they're dead on board. I'm just going to go to my turn and go to attacks. Swords to Plowshares. I will Force of Will that. If they force back, they're at 1. That means this fetch land doesn't work. Cool. Alright. The Dreadnought deck. Confirmed. Meltdown, pretty good. Consign to Memory, pretty good. Counterbalance. That one's kind of awkward because it's good against the Dreadnoughts themselves, pretty bad against stock up. I have 1 3-drop in my deck. Right, I'm not doing that. Brazen Borrower I like. Daze I do not like. I do like Force of Will. Unholy Heat. We saw a main deck Clarion Conqueror, which I shouldn't be that worried about, so I'm not going to be. I suspect that'll get boarded out. Red Blast is a way I can keep up with stock up, but I could also just kill my opponent by 9-balling them on turn 3. I don't think I'm a big believer in Cori-steel Cutter here. I like Force. I like my various blue cards. I might not need Lorien Revealed. Bauble is worse without Cutter in the deck. It's still good with Channeler. Untimely Malfunction is really funny. Passive, Death to Dreadnought. Or Torpor Orb. Okay, I think I'm going to cut a Bauble and just bring in a bunch of stuff that answers their stuff. No lands at all in the hand. I'm going to have to mulligan. This is not a matchup where we blind keep Force of Will. This one I will keep. I think I'm going to send Lightning Bolt away. I just have the most of those, and it's the least good against their deck. Tundra, down and dirty again. Ponder shuffled. I might just Wasteland again. Knowing the deck has Ancient Tomb in it makes Wasteland a little more precious, but taking a chance to cheese them, especially after I draw the second Wasteland, feels really nice. Basic Plains. That casts almost no spells in their deck. It does cast the spell that removes Dragon's Rage Channeler, but that's fine. We're going to exchange creatures for removal at some point anyway. Let's make them have it. No end-step Plow. Main phase Prismatic Ending. Yep, that works. And they missed the land drop. That's why we go for the cheese. Ponder, trying to set up this Murktide Regent. And I'm going to put Brainstorm down 1. Play Scalding Tarn as my land for turn. This lets me Red Blast in an emergency. I can't imagine what I would need to Red Blast here, because they don't even have Tundra. If they rip Ancient Tomb, it's not like they can stock up all of a sudden. Which did happen. Monastery Mentor on the juke, that would be sweet. Alright, they could play a Dreadnought here, but I have Meltdown. I'm going to draw the Brainstorm. That card's obviously good. And guess what I got for your face, Wasteland? Do I want to go in on a 4/4 Murktide Regent right now? I think I do. Just keep the pressure on while they're struggling. They could have Plows, they play a bunch of them. They could have Brazen Borrower, but whatever. Have it. And no plays at all on their turn. No land, no spell. I'm going to Brainstorm before combat. That landed immediately. What card do I not need or want here? It's Bauble that I need the least. If I put back Wasteland Bauble, Or I could put back Bolt, Wasteland, play Bauble, mill the Wasteland. That gets me through my junk better. Do I need another Wasteland this game? Do I need another Volcanic Island this game? Volcanic casts all the spells in my hand. Yeah, I'm going to put back Bolt and Wasteland. Channeler, Bauble, mills Wasteland, Bauble you, Hull Breacher on top of the deck. I've got 2 answers to that ready, if they can ever cast it, which doesn't look good. Okay, they had Prismatic Ending all along. That makes sense. Drawing a new card here. Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt. We're in the end game now, Stark. Chain Lightning you. And I don't need to Lightning Bolt. I can do that anytime. They're dead next turn, but they don't know that. They need Swords to Plowshares, specifically here. I no longer care about Dreadnought, which I could answer anyway. It's my turn. Force with no blue card. Attack. They're at 3. I'm just going to pass. They're dead to the board. I know they're dead to my hand, and I can back it up. It's not a slow roll. It's just making sure nothing goes wrong here. A lot of Magic players, my opponent's a 3, bolt you. But then, what if some sequence occurs where that's not good enough? We got the GGs. Yeah, 1 Wasteland was good, 2 Wastelands was better, and then we just won with whatever ham sandwich was left over. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. I've got Force blue card to back up some damage. That's what the deck is. I'm in. Basic Plains. Dangerous. Oslet Pride. Alright. It's a good time to have 7 red removal spells in my deck. I'm going to lightning this thing before it goes crazy. Godless Shrine. Fascinating. Whoa! Opponent is gaming. Now I have to decide, do I want to let them have 2 cards a turn, or I could just bash into this Dark Confidant? No, I'm going to daze that. We never want the opponent to have more cards than I can manage. And I still have a Force of Will in the bank here. Ponder. I think I'm going to fetch here rather than replay the Volcanic Island. This gives up some information, but it removes a land I don't want to draw from my deck, and also gives me 3/4 of Delirium. Now I could do, force something, mill a creature or artifact, and just have Delirium. Force pitching Ponder on this. Lightning Bolt. I think Lightning Bolt's going to be good against their deck. I'll leave it on top. Alright, Brainstorm. Fix everything, please. Yeah, alright. Delirium. Now I don't care about Bowmaster. Oh my god, that's a lot of lands. Put back all the lands that are actually lands. And just focus on fetch lands and get some damage in. That was a devastating Brainstorm, actually. I feel behind, and I really needed that Brainstorm to just give me a Delver or something that does something here. Ocelot Pride. You are not going to make it to your end step with that card. Another Lightning Bolt. Let's keep them coming. This is what we're here for. Attack. Opponent's going to go to 13 here. Just 5 bolts away from dead. Okay, Bowmaster resolves. This is actually a really good hit for them because this lets Guide of Souls become 3/4, which is big enough to tangle with DRC, though I am incentivized to deal with both of these things, but I can only deal with one. All right, they spent the energy, so I am going to bolt now, and I'm going to fetch first. I'll get Steam Vents tapped, just get that out of the way. And I am going to bolt the creature that's about to be bigger than my creature, and hope that I don't end up drawing a million cards in the near future. Ooh, Wasteland. They've been struggling this whole game. Am I going to deal 15 with this Dragon's Rage Chandler by itself? Maybe. Alright. I'm putting Wasteland on top. Now, they've spent the energy here, but their creature's not big yet. I'm going to attack first just in case they have something like Snuff Out. I don't want them to know they want to have a swamp soon. They're at 12. Wasteland. Hope that Wasteland was a good bet. If they just draw Swords to Plowshares, I'm pretty far behind. But if their hand's full of other 2-drops, that was really good. Okay, they're pushing damage. We have somehow the same life total after all that. Ocelot Pride. They've not gained life this turn, but they will next turn. Cori-steel Cutter. I could make Dragon's Rage Channeler a 4/4 right now, or I could try to get 2 spells next turn. I think I get 2 spells next turn in every universe here. And I can't hold back DRC to check Ocelot Pride because it must fight. Oh god. This is really bad. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, gains 1 life, during your end step, if you've gained 3 life throughout the turn. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. I thought that was the one that made... that was a doubling season, but it's not. Some stuff's going to happen here. I could fetch to increase my spell density or not fetch to make Ponder and Brainstorm better. Brainstorm's horrendous anyway. I think I am going to fetch. Alright, deck. A Lightning Bolt, even like Ponder's okay. Murktide's great. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! It's sliding away from me. Okay, I'm going to keep this land back. Am I even casting Brainstorm if I draw it, I guess is the question. Alright, I'm going to hold the land back. The passive life gain has been huge here. They've gained 4, 5, 6 life already this game. Like, instead of in Dead to Bolt, they are pretty stable over there. Kept a card on top with Backstreet. Hate that. And they have this Lady in Warp. She costs 3 under normal circumstances. I'm also at 5. Like, I'm dead on board now. Oh god. And that's worth a bunch of life. Alright, we're in some trouble. Big trouble. Murktide Regent wins the game. Force of Will. Alright. Yeah, that was nice. Delver does historically struggle versus decks that just have a bunch of the same garbage. And the reason is there's not like one good pinch point to Daze or Force, one good thing to bounce with Brazen Borrower. They just have all the same shit over and over again. A counterbalance, it looks great. Brazen Borrower doesn't look great, but necessary. I don't have any kind of in the festivities or electrickery, pyroclasm kind of thing or jig here. I think Daze is okay. All of the red spells are excellent. Force of Will looks pretty bad. We only saw Orzhov mana. I don't know if this is just an Orzhov deck or if it's Mardu. A lot of the cat decks, the Ocelot Pride decks, are Mardu because Goblin Bombardment is such a beating. I don't think I can afford to play around a card I didn't actually see. Alright, let's go. They showed me how to win a game with 1 land. That's supposed to be my job. Alright, mulligan this one. I will keep this. It's better than it looks because Bauble's worth so much. Alright, we're both on 6. Volcanic Island. Channeler. Bauble. This is worth 1.5 cards. I don't think I want Delver. With the Murktide in my hand, I just want to make sure I don't get clowned early on and I can keep my spells flowing. Daze is great. We see a Scrubland, so there's a Wasteland target. I'm holding Daze. Wasteland. Yeah, I'll play this game with you. Wasting Delver from behind is usually a mistake. Hit my land drop. Attack for 1. Now I have Daze and Unholy Heat, so I got options. If they play a creature, how I want to fight it. Flooded Strand, pass. Yeah, I'll just draw for my turn. Beestorm. I do not have an instant in my graveyard. This will give me Delirium. I'm in. Rainstorm. They can't Bowmaster me here. Actually, we'll keep that Scalding Tarn just in case they've got another Wasteland over there. Whoa-wee. This is some good stuff. I'm going to go Wasteland Bauble back because I don't actually want 2 Baubles here. And one milling the other to the graveyard is the same as Baubling. We've seen Shadowy Backstreet. I might just hold on to this Bauble till the end step. But then Bowmaster gets better. Whatever. I'll give up the info. As long as I'm guaranteed the card. Swords to Plowshares on top. I hope they do shuffle it away. Yeah, got him. Swords to Plowshares is gone. I'm drawing Wasteland here. There's the Scrubland. Swords to Plowshares, you got me. I got Murktide Regent ready to go. Okay, I'm going to Wasteland before combat. And then I'm going to play Murktide Regent. A mighty 4/4 Murktide Regent. Caracas. Not a legend. Alright, another Plow. That is the best card they could have. Now I need more threats. That's kind of a threat eventually. I'm going to, once again, hold it in my hand. As soon as they play a creature, cori-steel cutter plus Unholy Heat is action. I can hardcast Dazes here if that's appropriate. Oh god. Alright, some spacecraft shit. This is an Anthem at 2. So right now it does nothing. It's an Anthem at 2, and it is a 3/5 later. Oh, Murktide again. Put you back to the test. Alright. This is a 3/3. Behold. Daze looks pretty bad at this point. We're at the point where I'm likely to daze one of my own spells in the future to trigger cori-steel cutter. They've tapped and untapped mana a bunch of times, just really trying to figure out what they're supposed to do here. This doesn't become a creature until 12. That's thousands of years away. Starfield Shepherd. Okay, so this is the one. Search your library for a plains or a 1-drop. Okay, sure. We made their land drop already. We're probably going to see a 1-drop here. Ocelot Pride. This can station, so the Ocelot Pride will come in at 2/2, which is still small enough for me to beat it. If they also have Guide of Souls here, some stuff might happen, but then Daze is on. Guide of Souls is in. Are they going to play around Daze with the Pride? Guide of Souls, all right, they are aggressively playing around Daze here, which I respect, of course. All right. Unholy Heat is not on. I could just sit this Murktide Regent back as a 3/3. I think I'm doing that. There's no reason to get engaged in a race here. If they can play slow and patient, so can I. Yeah, here's the Pride. It arrives as a 2/2 and gains life. They can station up to 9 if they're willing to tap all the way out of creatures here. I think it's more important to get the cutter cutting than it is to not give them a cat here. Okay, they played a tapped land. Ponder, thanks for showing up. Cori-steel cutter. Heat the Pride. Equip the Monk. Pride's gone. I've got a 3/3 and a 2/2. I'm gonna continue parking the bus here. They've got 1 card left in hand, and I'm ready to start chaining cori-steel cutter now. My engine's online. Exercise. All right, exile target artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. I might blade around it on the Murktide. Okay, fine. I'm not ready to continue cori-steel cutting. Bowmaster being 4 power instead of 2 is pretty big here. Shit. All right, well, that makes Ponder worse. But they're going to kill my monk here anyway, so who cares? No, they went face with that. All right. Just playing around Lightning Bolt. Now this cat can pick up some energy. Yeah, they did a really good job playing around Daze, and did a good job having Orcish Bowmaster as the last card in their hand. We can still figure this out, like a Lightning Bolt could collapse it. I'm going to start with Ponder. Nothing dies to this because of prowess. All right, here we go. Lightning Bolt, Lorien Revealed, Untimely, Malfunction. Malfunction's actually really funny here. Unfortunately, I can't make Bowmaster kill itself because of the Frigate. Frigate. All right. The Malfunction will be quite good, though. Okay, Lorien Revealed, Malfunction, Bolt, do not shuffle. Okay, I take 1 here, and I think I pretty clearly drew Lightning Bolt if I attack. What is this thing doing if not attacking? And they can't really play around this. I'm going to Bolt Orcish Bowmaster no matter what happened there. Okay, so that's gone. I think I want to Brainstorm now too, because this Daze looks like shit. And this is just, I get to push some extra damage, and they haven't top decked a Bowmaster yet. Alright, Dragon's Rage Channeler, pretty good. I'm going to go Daze, Lorien Revealed back in that order, and then play DRC, and I can bin the Daze next turn. They're still 7 points away from crewing this Frigate, but they do have it. If they want to invest in the Frigate being a creature, that's not a bad way to spend their turn. Though I do have the Destroy Target artifact ready to go for that. Oh right, this thing was in warp all along. I'm not going to lie, I completely forgot that was there. I thought we were about to get control of this game, but in fact we are about to be buried. Yeah, Ocelot Pride goes completely apeshit here. I don't think this game is remotely winnable at this point. It was close if they didn't have this creature in the warp zone ready to come back, but of course they do. And this turns on the Frigate. Alright, I can't win this game. GG's. Really tough matchup, actually, and my opponent played well. Difficult combination to get through.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3. I'm going to keep... I've got a bunch of cantrips and mana to cast them. Opponent with the Avatar of Woe avatar. I haven't seen that in a while. Clearly they have taste and style. They did mold a 5 though. I would really like if Ponder showed me a Force or Daze right now, and then I'd feel pretty comfortable with most things. Oh no, I do want that Delver to make this hand work, but I mean, Murktide makes this hand work too. Alright, shuffle, and ended up with Lightning Bolt anyway. Okay, I hope I don't get oopsed. Cloud Post. Alright, now Wasteland becomes my priority. Brainstorm. Wait, Karumba. Alright. What do I do with this? I put back Murktide and a Lightning Bolt, and then I play Delver. Delver will flip from the Lightning Bolt. The alternative to collapse their mana is deal 20 to them before they can spend that mana, and I'm on the second idea right now. Once Upon a Time. I'm not going to force that. This deck probably has one rings and crop rotations and stuff in it. Forest. That's not very good. That's just 2 mana. All right, that one's solid. What are we doing? Disruptor Flute? That resolves. That's going to name Wasteland, but that is not what I'm about right now. Like, if they name Force of Will instead, then cool. Level system. Got me a little bit. But Wasteland is just so bad for their deck that I don't think they can afford to take that gamble. Okay, Lightning Bolt to my hand. Cycle Lorien Revealed. Get Valk. Play Valk. Hit you for 3. And my plan is to counter something this turn, play Murktide next turn, then counter something on the turn after that. And then we win. I hope. That's the dream anyway. Bajuka Bog. That's a little bit annoying. That is a big time walk versus my Murktide Regent. I'm still going to bolt them in the end step. I don't think I'm supposed to Velocity Brainstorm here. If they're playing it slow doing bog stuff, I can play it slow to make sure my cards are good. Another bolt. Untimely Malfunction is interesting. That could redirect a Kozilek's command. Something of that nature. It can't destroy the One Ring. Okay, I don't think this is what I'm doing. Well, Untimely Malfunction. Force of Will back. Attack for 3. It smells like Kozilek's command all day. Alright, they left a mana floating to play around Daze. I think I'm just going to go in here. Force Pitching Force, Bolt you, play Murktide, pass. Force Pitching Force. 3 damage in combat. Bolt you. Fetch. Present lethal. And hope you can't all his dust me. Alright, go. I've done what I can. There's the Forest. And this is where if they have like a One Ring or something, they can really dig out of this. I gotta hope their hand is just a little clunky here. Just a little bit that isn't quite ready to go off. And it worked. Okay. Flinging bolts to the head. A Consigned to Memory comes in here. Blood Moon, big one. Force of Negation. It depends on the list. It might be good enough. Brazen Borrow is a maybe. There's also the cheese strat where if I can waste a Cloud Post, I could take them all. But I don't think I need to do that with this build. Right, so I got 3 yeses and 2 maybes. I think Unholy Heat is unnecessary. I think Daze is pretty bad. And do I want to turn a Bauble into a Brazen Borrower? I think Bauble's the next cut here. Spell Pierce holds well enough over time. Force of Will is very important. Okay, I will go Bauble for Brazen Borrower. Something like bounce your Disruptor Flute, waste you 3 times before passing priority is something that could happen in the mid game. Okay, no Wasteland, a lot of aggression. Once Upon a Time. If I had the courage, I would force that, but I think I can do better. I don't think they would have kept their hand entirely on the strength of Once Upon a Time. So there are decks in formats like the old Hogak deck in Vintage, where I think it actually was right to force Once Upon a Time when it was offered to you. Okay, we are on Protect the Queen mode with Dragon's Rage Channeler. 2 planar Nexi. They appear to be playing around Wasteland here. Oh, we're getting Dismembered in the upkeep. I think this is worth a force. I don't have another threat, and I get this Surveil in my upkeep. That's worth something. They took 1 million from this already. I like the Flooded Strand. Ponder. Interesting. Do I think I can get them from 16 here? I might. I'm going to put that on top. Another force, but no blue card to go with it. There's no way to get everything I want here. I think I'm going to go... Can I get Delirium? Yes. The Bauble gives me Delirium. All right, well, that's episode 1 of our series. Get Delirium. That has to happen. Bauble you. Cloud Post. Attack for 3. And I could keep the Bolt on top, or I could deal 3 to them right now. I think I'm going to deal 3 right now, which means I probably shouldn't have kept the Bolt the first time I looked at it. Murktide Regent, top. Okay, now I have a backup actual threat. My opponent's at 10, and I know their hand has Ancient Tomb in it. There's Cloud Post that taps for 3 next turn. They have 2 mana right now. Dismember is a pretty dicey proposition. I think if they had Dismember, they would have done it again last turn. Oh, wow. No, they were just... They'd rather take 3 damage than get dazed. That's fair. And now that Lightning Bolt I shuffled away would have been lethal, but I play a lot of them. Can we hit another? All right, I'm going to chain them and then cast Murktide. Right, big Mercs. I've got multiple instants, multiple sorceries. This doesn't have to be very big. All right, I've maintained Delirium and made a big enough Murktide. They can't cast Dismember anyway. If they start to stabilize from this, I get to keep Lightning Bolt as a live draw. There's just 4 hits in my deck that win the game whenever. All right. They go to 1 to get Ugin in, but Ugin can gain 3 life and draw a card. Dang, that was a good one to have. And I should have committed to leaving the Bolt on top. So this is only possible because they dismembered a second time. Right, Brainstorm has to hit 2 bolts here. We got 1. I don't think I can win the game anymore. They go to 7. And if they end up tapping their Ancient Tomb, they're back at 6. If they do anything else with Ugin, it gives me a window. Karn Silex. Well, I better fetch and response. Fetches don't work anymore after that. I'll get the Steam Vents. Yeah, Ugin just gained 3 life up to 7. And next turn they get to minus Ugin and win the game. That doesn't even help. And I don't want them to know it's in my deck. All right, you win. Okay. That game was winnable if I could see the future. All right, big Ugin, of course, is a problem. Eventually. Love all this burn. They're playing around Daze to the detriment of their own life, and that was on the play. Now I'm on the play. Like I'm getting the value of Daze being in my deck without Daze being in my deck. That's a winner all around. I think these are the cards that make sense to be in my deck. I will keep this. There is a Wasteland present for the first time in my life. The cori-steel cutter is one of the slower things, and I'm down to 2 Bauble in my deck, but gotta trust, gotta believe. Gotta believe in something. Casting Ponder. Another Bolt, a Ponder. I like the land and the Ponder. I'm not going to shuffle this. Planar Nexus. I think I'm supposed to just waste that and play Ponder. I could play Ponder first. In case I hit Dragon's Rage Channeler, maybe I'd rather do that. Consign to Memory is interesting. I could double spell next turn if I'm willing to not waste them. Like I could go Borrower, Bolt, Consign, no shuffle, play Volcanic Island, pass. And then I can cut Chain Lightning next turn. Versus Tower. Karn Silex. This can kill stuff. And I can't fetch. I just can't pay life. How important is this? Each non-land permanent. Oh, I can kill this one. Untimely Malfunction. Alright, never mind. It's fine. It resolves. That turns off Dismember. I think I do have to take this turn to Wasteland them, unfortunately. Alright, Waste Planar Nexus. And do I want to get Chain Lightning? Just take a little taste right here. I think I do. I'm drawing Brazen Borrower next turn. I have Consigned to Memory up. Burning them out is part of the plan. Cloud Post. Okay, so they have 2 mana. Drawing Brazen Borrower. I would love to play cori-steel cutter right now, but Karn Silex kills it anyway, so I'm not going to do that. I might spend this turn just blowing up the Silex. Another Cloud Post. I don't love it. Alright, destroy target artifact. We did it. We found a target for Malfunction. Land would be pretty decent. Disruptor Flute. That resolves. If they name Wasteland with this, that's not a card I have anyway. If they have the read that I have consigned to memory, then it would have been out of my hand anyway. Yeah, Wasteland was the name. Wasteland is the game. Yeah, alright, well, there's a Wasteland. I could bounce Disruptor Flute and waste them. That sets them back pretty far, actually. Alright, I'm going for it. I'm going to play Wasteland and then Petty Theft the Flute. Nothing has really gone this game how I wanted to. I've just been 1 mana off, 1 action off of the game I'd like to be playing. Like, now I'm tapped out of Consign. I've been a mana short of triggering cori-steel cutter the whole game. But I hope these 2 Wastelands have found good homes. If my opponent ever draws a Planar Nexus or Crop Rotation, I'm completely cooked. Echoing Deeps. Damn it! Oh, they copied Cloud Post instead of Planar Nexus. And they know their hand better than I do. I assume they have a plan here, but I was really scared of that being a Planar Nexus. Alright, Wasteland named on Flute again. Spell Pierce. Alright, I guess I'm passing. Glimmer Post. That makes sense, I guess, why they took Cloud Post. The One Ring. I'm going to consign that to memory. And I have Spell Pierce if they go again. I think I should just be flinging bolts here. At least one of them. Okay, now Brazen Borrower is online. I don't think I can just tap out into the deck with Ugin. I can still Spell Pierce Ugin. Now I can't. Now it's not even close. Now they can do whatever they want forever. Yep, there's Ugin. I can attack that with Brazen Borrower. If they have Kozilek's Command, I lose. Volcanic Island, Brazen Borrower. Maybe that was supposed to be Basic Island. If I draw Blood Moon right now, that's not great for me. Okay, well, I'm prepared to lose to Kozilek's Command anyway, so let's overextend. Massively overextend. Bolt Ugin. Trigger. Yes. Ugin goes to 6. Attack it to 1. Just 9 is so much. Now I hope they do. No, because they get the cast trigger. Never mind. Yikes. Man, that thing is still going to dominate the game. It resolved. I dealt 8 damage to it, and it's still going to win the game. Embercool on the hard cast. Yeah, it'll do. All right. Yeah, I had to play this game just a little awkward from where I wanted to be. The cori-steel cutter, we know, and this is a nature of the build. If I had a 0 to trigger cori-steel cutter at any point, then I could have left a mana up, but the build doesn't have that many 0s, and I boarded one out. I think that same game, if that cori-steel cutter in my hand is Delver or Dragon's Rage Channeler, is interesting and competitive, but the 2 mana thing, we're just built to do something different. I had, 3 lightning bolts that game? We're just built to do something that is not what cori-steel cutter is doing. This is here out of respect for the strength of the card, and sometimes you need to grind. But that did not work out great. Oh well, on to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. On the draw for round 4 with some creatures, lands, and untimely malfunction, I'll try it. Prismatic Vista. Delver decks historically don't like Prismatic Vista decks, but we'll see what they're doing with that. Ponder. Alright, we love Daze. I'm going to use one of my million fetch lands to get Delver into play. They did not shuffle that Ponder last turn. Tundra. The opponent's deck is very smart and handsome. Island Ponder Keep into a Tundra. Tamiyo. We don't like her. Come on, Delver. Can we get a flip and start pressuring Tamiyo for real? Scalding Tarn. Absolutely not. All right. I will attack. Make them think about it. Like, what if I have Unholy Heat here? You can't block. Okay, great. All right. Opponent played into a commonly played card in my archetype, but I'm not able to punish them here. Pass. And luckily, the cost is 0 to me. Like, they just are at 19 instead of 18. But I do think that block was pretty messy. Okay, Tamiyo is in. Untimely Malfunction actually rules here. If they try to plow my Delver Prismatic Ending it, I can send that over to Tamiyo. We're starting to get into spicy mode here. I got to destroy an artifact. Like, that's something. Okay, Delver, leaving my fetch land unbroken in case I want it here. Swords to Plowshares. All right, well, we're doing it. Volcanic Island, Untimely Malfunction, change the target of target spell or ability. Zoop. What do you think? You like that? Brainstorm fully blows this out, though, because not like if they brainstorm right now, then there's nowhere to send this. I just have to target my Delver again. Wow, that got a Force of Will pitching Lavinia. All right, sweet deal. Sold. All right. Basic Island found, not revealed. But now we're just going to get buried by Tamiyo, unless I find a Lightning Bolt quick. Like right here, right now, while they're can't crack their clue. Bolt, I would actually feel great in this game, but instead I feel very bad. The Basic Island fetched. Are they going to back to basics me? Is this some sort of blue-white? I mean, Lavinia was in there. They're definitely doing something slightly off the beaten path. Lavinia is not normally a card in Legacy decks. Certainly not in Legacy main decks. And there goes Tamiyo. My window to bolt her is gone. My window to pressure her is gone. And just like that, the game is pretty much over here. Even if I do like resolve this Murktide and threaten to pressure the Tamiyo and somehow their 5 cards in hand that have just been sculpted aren't good enough, there's a plow in their graveyard. They just grab it. Okay, I'm going to fetch a Steam Vents tapped. I really need Brainstorm to make my hand from terrible into playable. I'm going to bobble myself, see if there's a good card there. Ponder. Has to be good enough, I guess. Murktide. I'll just leave Mishra's Bauble in my graveyard. I can replace the land and instant easily enough. I'm drawing a sorcery next turn. Murktide resolved. I'm drawing Ponder in my opponent's upkeep. No, I'm not. Oh wait, yes I am. Daze. Alright, daze that. Okay. Well, that was a scary thing. So they appear to be some kind of Daze Undoing pile. If Tamiyo minus is here for Plow, and it did, this now gives me 2 turns to find Lightning Bolt to clear the Tamiyo. Alright, Murktide's gone. 3 cards in hand, plus the clue. Narset. Well, that makes my Ponder a lot worse. Narset found 4th Aerlingus, so this is just the Jeskai control deck. Alright, I cannot win this game anymore. Not with the Narset stopping the Ponder, and 4th Aerlingus right there. This matchup's really bad. If the Red Blasts come in, those will help a lot. I think Force of Negation is necessary, even though I don't like going 2-for-1 against them if they have powerful Planeswalkers. I am recording this on the day that I released Jeskai Daze Undoing on the channel, so I wonder if the opponent is just playing my list from today. Their important cards cost 3, but there are a bunch of 1s, like Plows and Ponders and Brainstorms and stuff in their deck. I don't think I'm bringing in Counterbalance here. Unholy Heat can hit Planeswalkers. That has to be good enough. Brazen Borrower is a flash threat. I could cut a Wasteland for that. Wasteland's not going to find a lot of love here. Hydroblast can counter their Pyroblast or their 4th Aerolingus, but they're mostly a blue-white deck with a very tiny red splash. Yeah, I think this is what I'm doing. I will keep this. It gets to play lands and see some cards. It's a little more reactive than I'd hoped for, but I got a lot of threats in the deck. Just got to find them. Ponder, Delver, Bolt. I like those 2 cards. I don't like the Wasteland underneath them. If they just play Tundra right now, I'm going to be bummed out about how I stack the Ponder. But I think they're unlikely to do that. And I want to shuffle away the Wasteland. I don't want to set up Delver to flip off Bolt 2 turns from now. Okay, Lightning Bolt. This card actually good, actually present, ready to fight Tamiyo. I will force back if they force. Tamiyo is good enough for that. She deserves that respect. Delver, and pass. Basic Plains, that's really bad. That's them having the basic planes, not having to fetch for it, not having to get a Tundra that is exploitable, just having the plane straight up. This is rock solid removal mana for the rest of the game. If I were my opponent playing the same deck in the same position, I'd be pretty happy with my development here. And they didn't shuffle Ponder. Scalding Tarn on top of my deck, as usual. Now I can hardcast Force of Negation. We at least bridged that gap. I can fight over Narsets and Teferis and stuff on their turn without 2-for-1ing myself. There's a fetch. Volcanic Island, alright. Does that mean Pyroblast is in their hand? They just exposed themselves to Wasteland when they didn't have to. You usually only do that if you're going to use red mana quickly. Like, they're either going to tap out right now for a 3-drop and bank the red for the future, or they have a red spell to cast, which is probably Pyroblast. I think I'm just going to let this happen. Then I get to see the card. It's Island. Okay. And I still get the fetch value. I'm going to go grab an Island and then draw and present the same thing over again. The reason I don't want to spend a counterspell on Delver is that my opponent's at 17 life. Delver's a 1/1. Their deck is full of terrifying cards like Narset and Teferi and Fourth Aerolingus. I just don't think using my premium interaction on a 1-for-1, just average exchange of resources is where I want to be. I want to be right here, countering Narsets. Counter that. They tap their red mana to cast this, so unless they're willing to fetch basic Mountain here, it'll at least cost them Force of Will to get involved in this fight. So they might have a Spell Pierce kind of thing. Brainstorm, sure. Alright, if they want to emergency Brainstorm looking for Force, then I'll just Force back. We can do this. It sucks to force a Narset, though, when I have Delver in play, Bolts in my deck, Red Blast in my deck. I hope I don't have to Force of Will back on this. That's a really shitty exchange. And their deck is better than mine playing from one card. Right, Force Pitching Force. I'm going to Force Pitching Force back. I want Force of Negation to exile Narset. Not that I think that's going to matter a lot, but it is nice that it's gone. Delver, please. My family is starving. Brainstorm, we did it. I'm going to cast this Brainstorm before Hull Breacher eats it. Alright, that's pretty bad, but I will attack for 3. There's a Force of Will on top of my deck. If my opponent just does nothing here, like if they went all in on that Narset fight, and the top of their deck is blank, I can't afford to draw Force. Alright, I think I have to draw Force here. Okay, so I'm drawing Force of Will, I'm passing, and then I'm going to fetch to shuffle away the stinker underneath the Force. Yeah, this is why we did this. They did conspicuously leave up red. I really hope Pyroblast's not the last card in hand, and it's not. And now we're just slugging it out. Delver, get him. Alright, this draw, this turn, is the other card they put back from Brainstorm. Is there one blank in this pile anywhere? Okay, Brainstorm. The answer was no. They were looking at all spells when they brainstormed and then found Force Blue card to back up Narset, putting Teferi Brainstorm on top of their deck. I am not in a good position. I need this deck's air to kick in here. Like, I hope they're looking at, like, 2 lands and a Days Undoing right now, or some crap that doesn't matter. I did not want them to have Tamiyo. Alright, Delver, flip Revealing Lightning Bolt right now. Alright, draw a Lightning Bolt right now. Well, I can't afford to play that in case I draw Brainstorm. And we're going to lose another game to Tamiyo. I do have Red Blast in my deck that can fend off Planeswalker mode if they do flip her here and just go straight for that. Now I can do something which I couldn't do before. Oh, interesting. Well, I'm casting this. And I'm clearing as much garbage as I can out of the way first, and I hope that they don't have Hull Breacher in their hand. Though I'm ready to just concede if they do. Oh yeah, just get me, just do it. Okay. Cracking a Clue is not that. Come on, you can't let me have anything here. Alright, Force Pitching Days Undoing. That was my haymaker to try to get back in this game. Tamiyo, banking more cards. I keep drawing fetch lands. You wouldn't believe that there's only 18 lands in my deck right now. the way this game is gone. The good news is there's only 6 lands left in my deck. They're cracking clues. I would honestly prefer if they just put Tamiyo into Planeswalker mode here. The drawing 2 cards a turn is so much scarier to me than this thing ticking up for a while. In their graveyard, Tamiyo minus is basically Demonic Tutor at this point. Their graveyard has every spell it could want in it, but if I find a red blast right now, we can do stuff. Ponder. Lightning Bolt, you're a little late to the party, my friend. Just a little late. Is this a game I want to play? Yeah, opponent said in the chat that Tamiyo is quite a card. Yes, it sure is. I understand that these games were otherwise close and interesting, except for the existence of that one. Force, Ponder, Force, Lightning Bolt. Yeah, full-size Murktide. And I have to just play this land out. I know the top of my deck's bad. They could grab Pyroblast out of the graveyard, clear this without even letting me gain life. That is all assuming that their 5-card hand can't deal with a creature in their blue-white control deck. Alright, I'm good. We can't possibly win this game. I have seen enough. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'll keep. I have the things my deck is supposed to do. My opponent has a 61 card deck. This is Oops All Spells. That is another way to tell. They've mulled a 5 with a 61 card deck. This has got to be Oops. I'm glad I have double force. I also need to get in the habit of checking if they have 61 cards before I keep my hand, because that is a pretty dead giveaway. I was having a discussion with some of my grinder friends the other day where you are allowed to ask, oh wait, what the fuck is going on here? All right, well, it's a 61 card deck that's not Oops All Spells. All right, weird stuff going on. But you are allowed to ask in person, in paper, how many cards your opponent has in their deck at any time. That's available information. And we were debating on whether it's worth it or, you know, like appropriate or sporting to ask every opponent that before you sit down at Eternal Weekend. But they have to tell you, and it's free to ask. So if you're just like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Brian. How many cards are in your deck? Is that weird or is that just smart? Anyway, this opponent would have tricked me into them being Oops All Spells. They appear to be some sort of white depths deck. Not a thing I knew I had to think about, but here it is in my brain right in front of me. There's that cori-steel cutter again. That card's not good in this list. That is feedback I'm going to give at the end. Is I simply do not think that this deck should have cori-steel cutter in it. I think this deck should have maybe just play 4 Murktides over those 2, because it's bad with Delver and it's caused a bunch of awkward situations for me. There's another fair Bajuka Bog slowing me down. But with double Channeler and Ponder in hand, I can basically hit the eject button here and go straight back to Delirium Town. Murktide to the graveyard, I got one of those already. Delver to the graveyard, I got 2 of those already. A bunch of Wastelands. I think those look really good. All right. Delta, Wasteland. I'll take the Wasteland, play it. If I Chain Lightning right now, I will end up with 2 lands and another sorcery in there. I could bounce Mox Diamond. I think I'd rather just hold up reasonable interaction for Dark Depths or Merit Lage. Like if I leave Wasteland untapped and can bounce Merit Lage, what could go wrong here? But if I bounce Mox Diamond and then they Merit Lage me while Wasteland's tapped, I'd suddenly lose a game that I'm way ahead in. Life from the Loam. I guess that's fine. And I'm not going to force it, but okay. They suddenly have a Caracas and a Basic Plains in their hand. And bouncing that Mox Diamond may have been a terrible idea. But that was the green source that started this whole chain. All right, there's another Wasteland. Now I'm going to Chain Lightning the blue to Delta and hopefully something that gets me Delirium into the graveyard. Right, Delver's just burning off like crazy. Another Wasteland. Attack you for 2. This is starting to get a little distressing. I just haven't been able to do anything. They dredged Loam, hit Riftstone Portal. Now all their lands are green-white. That's Loam, Caracas, 2 unknowns in hand. All right, getting back Portal and Beseju. Getting back Portal's interesting. Like, they must be ready to use the extra material for something like another Mox Diamond, because that card is generally better off in your graveyard than in your hand. Or they just don't need green mana. Caracas. Is this just lands and they had a weird open? Right, I could bounce the Mox Diamond right now. I think I'm actually into that. I would like to get Delirium and really start pressuring my opponent. Lightning Bolt gets it. I'm just going to get Delirium rather than cast that bolt. Untimely Malfunction. I don't think I need that. And this turns off the Beseju in their hand. They could Beseju Wasteland in response, or they could crop rotate, but I have force for crop rotation. Whatever's going on here, I'm just trying to get the game over much faster than it was. Okay, now I have 6 power coming in. Double force, double blue card backing it up. I'm not going to cast any spells. I'm just going to try to get this done in 2 hits with a bunch of counter spells. Dredged Loam hit 3 non-lands. Mox Diamond is back. Discarded Riftstone Portal. Like, I can beat a Maze of Ith, I can beat a Dark Depths, I got the Wastelands ready for those sort of things. It would slow me down a little bit if they could get their Bajuka Bog out and then back into play somehow, but even then I have Brazen Borrower to keep the pressure up. Okay, I think they were just lands who took a shitty mulligan and never recovered. Force of Negation, Surgical, Blood Moon, Brazen Borrower. Another tough matchup, by the way. I think I want 1 Meltdown, but not 2. Daze, pretty horrendous. Unholy Heat, not great. Untimely Malfunction. They do have artifacts in their deck. I can't redirect Life from the Loam because it specifically says change the target of a spell or ability with a single target. I could redirect... Oh, that's kind of a grammar hole. Am I allowed to change the target of a spell or ability that has a single target? Or am I allowed to change the target of a spell or ability to a single target? I think it means it means something that only has 1 target, I can make that 1 target something else. Though that is grammatically interpretable in both ways. Changing the target of a Thespian stage could buy me a lot of time. All right, I need 1 more cut to get the cards in that I wanted. Force of Will is not actually very good, but Force of Negation dealing with Life from the Loam is nice. Curse games versus Life from the Loam, but doesn't really matter elsewhere. That might be enough better than Force of Will that I'll take it. Okay, I'm going in. Okay, my hand is not specifically good versus lands, but it is not specifically bad versus anything, so I will keep it. Savannah. Burgeoning, hell yeah. Whenever an opponent plays a land, you can put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. I recently opened a pack of Stronghold for a content opportunity, and this was my rare, which it turns out is the 3rd most valuable card in Stronghold after Mox Diamond and Sliver Queen. Or not Sliver Queen. Yeah, Sliver Queen. Yeah, I briefly had a moment of panic thinking Sliver Queen was in Tempest, but no, they gave us a bunch of Slivers in Tempest, then the Queen later. I could Balm myself for value here. I could Balm myself for an extra Delver Peak. I think I'm going to use the Delver Peak. They're going to get to Burgeon. Versus Saga, yeah, pretty good. It's not like I can play the game without playing a land, so whatever. Delver, I'm just looking for damage here. My plan is to bauble myself to functionally get 2 looks at flipping Delver. Elephant Grass, alright, they are on a brew. It's not just lands. There's clearly a lands package, but they're doing some stuff. Yeah, Elephant Grass, non-black creatures cost an additional 2 to attack, and black creatures can't attack at all, and this has cumulative upkeep 1, which is eventually untenable. Okay, there's a Chain Lightning on top of my deck, which means I want to reveal for Delver first. Chain Lightning, draw that, draw something else. Now another Bauble. I have Ponder this time, so I'm going to use Bauble to know if I like my top card or not before I do anything else. Brazen Borrower. Yeah, I do like that one. All right, Steam Vents. You get to Burgeon. Hall of Heliod. Let's go. Opponent's got bangers in the deck. Oh, God. So Delver's not going to flip if I play Delver here. I think that just has to be okay. I'll take the Brazen Borrower and pass. They get to start doing Saga stuff. I can't attack. The thing about burgeoning is they theoretically eventually run out of lands to play. Didn't make a Saga construct. Didn't spend the mana on anything else. Does that mean they're speedrunning a Tabernacle here and it's going to be Irrel? Yeah, unless they're going to sweep the board, that construct was on the house. Okay, it looks like they were getting crop rotated here in the upkeep, or in the main phase in response to Saga, so they'll still get to search. Yep, Tabernacle. That explains their play. Now, do they have Wastelands to start making this awful for me? Or are we just going to pay for our cards and look at each other for a while? Because they haven't shown me a loam. They haven't shown me an engine of any kind. They're just like kind of playing lands out of their hand, and eventually you run out of lands unless you draw cards somehow. Lava Spur Boots, last card in hand. They can take a draw from that Soul Guide Lantern, but they are just ripping at this point. Okay, look at the top card. Look at my Scalding Tarn. I'm not going to reveal it. I will pay for both of these. Yes. Yes. I draw Scalding Tarn for turn, and you can Burgeon from your empty hand. I don't think randomly Chain Lightning them makes sense when I have an actual card selection available with the Delver. Elephant Grass goes up to 2. If they're out of draws, out of engine, I mean, they can Hall of Heliod Urza Saga to the top of their deck. They're a mana short of getting back Saga and paying for grass this turn. Okay. If they draw a land, Urza Saga's back online. They tapped both of their green sources to pay for Elephant Grass, which doesn't allow them to draw something like Light from the Loam this turn and be any good. All right, I can look at my top card now. Lightning Bolt, cool. I don't think I want that, but I'm glad Delver flipped. I'm going to get Basic Island, start patting myself versus Wastelands that are in their deck somewhere. Brainstorm. Let's go. There's the juice. A good card. My other Basic Island. All right, I'm going to put back Basic Island and Scalding Tarn. And then I think I'm going to play a third Delver off of another Basic Island. I want them to just get wrecked the turn that they don't pay for Elephant Grass. And if they do keep paying for it, I have this Brazen Borrower that can buy me a big swing. All right, 3. They can also not pay for it, put it on top of their deck, draw it, replay it, but that costs their whole turn. I don't mind something like that happening. Okay, the grass is gone, and they're just buying it back, sure. That costs the same amount of mana. It actually costs more mana and their draw step than if they just paid 3 for it. Okay, sure. Weird, but it works. I'll allow it. I'm not going to Brainstorm to aggressively flip Delver. It's not like it's attacking this turn anyway. Looted Delta on top of my deck. I pay for all my fellas. Now I am going to Brainstorm. Force of Will. That's reasonable. I'm going to put back this Murktide region. It's just not going to be part of the game. And I think this Chain Lightning is a long way away from useful as well. You can Burgeon if you, for some reason, have a land in your hand you didn't play on your turn when you could play a land. Wander. All right, we love Blood Moon. All right, Delver, Untimely Malfunction, Blood Moon. Bank the Blood Moon. Next turn, Delver will flip, and I will have exactly... Or no, I have to let a Delver die. But I think that's okay. If I can Blood Moon this opponent, we'll take it. So Delver won't flip. I'm not going to reveal for the new Delver. They're trying to spend mana in their upkeep and then move to their main phase. Might be a Loam over there. Heath and Saga. Yeah, I mean, I have this Blood Moon now. Exploration was the card in hand. Heath Saga from hand. Okay, sure. Delver dies, I Blood Moon, and then we play on. The turn before Saga grows up. They do have a basic. They do have Loam in the graveyard. They're still doing stuff even under Blood Moon here. But they can't reset Elephant Grass anymore. Okay. Don't reveal this. Don't pay for this. Yes, pay for this. Yes, pay for this. Draw, Blood Moon. Start getting some of my hooks in. I can force to protect the Blood Moon if they have a way to clear that. This also turns off Tabernacle, which frees up a bunch of my mana moving forward. Yeah, they're going to draw a card in response. You better. Urza Saga does get to stay in play because of the rules now. But now the real clock's ticking on this Elephant Grass. They're obviously paying to keep it. I would too. And now they have to make real decisions about whether they're going to dredge Loam or try to draw cards that get out of this. Dredging for Boseju's good. If I untap with Untimely Malfunction, I can protect my land from Boseju, or my moon from Boseju. They got a Bog and a Saga. I don't care how many mountains they have in play, for the most part. I mean, that's more turns they can pay for Elephant Grass. But that's all that's doing. Their hand right now is Windswept Heath, and I think one unknown. Right, free from Tabernacle's Dirty Clutches. I can just attack for 6, just pay. That's my plan. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll pay 4 to declare attackers. Play this new Delver. That makes a land a good draw. It adds the pressure of them paying for grass every turn. They don't have double green to Loam and Boseju in the same turn. Maze of Ith, Dark Depths, Deafening Silence. That's a strange card to have in versus Delver, but I guess if you think I have cori-steel Cutter, maybe that's an angle you want to cover. Okay, so Depths and Maze of Ith going to the hand. The Depths is dangerous because it enters with 0 counters. If they do have Force of Vigor, mill their way into a Boseju, something like that, they get a 20/20 immediately. And that's something I'm going to have to keep an eye on and manage moving forward. Dragon's Rage Channeler, I'm not going to reveal that. I'm going to attack for 6, pay the 4, and my opponent's dead on board without me adding more. I'm just going to hold back this Lightning Bolt and make them figure this out. A 4 mana spent on the Elephant Grass. Necessary evil. They did dredge Loam. They hit 2 lands that are not Boseju. And we did it! That was a weird game versus a weird build of lands, but okay. To summarize this deck, I think I like the aggressive slant. I mean, I don't know that I like it in terms of is it better than the cori-steel build at beating the most decks at the most times. That, I don't know, probably not. But if we are going to play the card Delver of Secrets, I like piling up the burn. I like having a high spell count. I think the next steps I would take is cut cori-steel Cutter entirely. We could just make those Murktide Regents. That's a big threat that cares about spells, but doesn't gum up your hands and make you play weird the way cori-steel Cutter does. Having only 3 baubles in the deck instead of 4 to 6, which is what the cori-steel Delver decks play, we're already not really respecting this card, and then it's an awkward top deck. It doesn't do damage quickly, it does damage consistently, which is different than what this deck's trying to do, which deal damage quickly. We could also get the 4th Daze in, and 1 Murktide. We could get the 2nd Brazen Borrower and the 4th Daze. I think somewhere in the Daze, Brazen Borrower, Murktide range, those could be what the cori-steel Cutters turn into. This Lorien Revealed came up once as a Lorien Revealed and once as an Island Cycler in the league. The card is always fine, but I don't think this deck needs something like this. Like, our games aren't going to go long enough to cast it normally, and we're low to the ground. We have a pretty high basic land count for a Delver deck. 19 lands and 2 of them are basics. This is better mana than a lot of Delver decks play. I think the Lorien Revealed could be another Murktide, Borrower, or Daze, and just line those up. And my other big note is I think this Blood Moon should be Price of Progress, not Blood Moon. We're here with this deck that's trying to blitz damage, and I think that the package of the 6 Lightning Bolts we're already playing with this 8 aggressive creatures we're already playing makes more sense if we just win the game dealing 6 or 8 damage to an opponent at once, rather than try to lock them out, then continue the work with our creatures. You could even play 2 Price of Progress if you're really worried about it. But those cards are pretty much the same when we get into that late game scenario versus the Cloud Post versus the whatever. Like, I think I could have beaten that Resolved Ugin in the Cloud Post matchup if Price of Progress was an out I was ripping towards instead of Blood Moon, which doesn't do anything versus Ugin. It's also a spell for our Delvers, where Blood Moon is not. We also have this Brazen Borrower sitting in the sideboard. If we do one of the changes I said, this Brazen Borrower could enter the main deck. That opens up a sideboard slot, which could be 2 Price of Progress, and then we're really burning. I like the attempt to bring Delver back to Delver, make Delver Delver again. I don't like the half measure of 1 foot in the cori-steel Cutter camp anymore, and I want our sideboard cards to do damage. Those are my notes. Brad, thank you for sharing this. I hope that was helpful. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.